Okay, today we're going to be in our Unit 2, and this is going to be our notes number 1. So Unit 2, we're going to be covering exponents, and we're going to be covering polynomial operations. So to start us off with exponents, we're going to just kind of go over some of like the parts of an exponent and what an exponent truly means. So first of all, if we were looking at a term with an exponent, first, this whole entire thing is called a term. The 5 is called a coefficient because it is the number in front of the variable. Our 2, this is our exponent. So we have to keep that in mind. And then the x, yes, it is a variable, but anytime a variable, either a variable or a number has an exponent, we call that number the base, or that variable the base, because that is the base to that exponent. That's what that exponent is representing. So what does this mean? This means we have 5x to the second power. So the second power is the important part because that is what our exponent is representing, that second power. Now, if it was 3, it'd be 5x to the third power. So let's go over the anatomy and kind of think about what this means. So first of all, we have x cubed. So what is our coefficient? Well, you're like, Mrs. Gilbert, there's not a number in front of it. It's 0. No, there is always a 1 in front of it. Our base would be x. Our exponent would be 3. Now, what does this mean in expanded form? Anytime I have an exponent, that's how many times I multiply that same number together. It doesn't mean it's x times 3. It means that's how many times I'm multiplying x by itself. So I'm doing x times x times x. The next one, I have negative 2y. So our coefficient is the number in front. So negative 2. Our base would be y. Now you're like, Mrs. Gilbert, there's not an exponent. If it is just written like this, there's always an exponent of 1. So keep that in mind. In expanded form, we would just have negative 2 times y. Okay, the next one we have 1/3 a to the 7th. So my coefficient is the number in front, which is 1/3. My base is a. My exponent is 7. So that 7 is belonging to that a. It's not belonging to the 1/3. It's belonging to the a. So writing it in expanded form, we'd have 1/3 first, and then we'd have a 7 times. Okay, next one we have 8w to the 10th. So our coefficient, again, is the number in front. Our base is w, and then my exponent is 10. So that means I have 8, and then I have w 10 times. So I have 8 times w times w times w times w. Okay, so that is how we do, that's identifying the parts. So now we're going to go around, and we're going to write it in expanded form. We're also going to evaluate it. Now, I will say this is where you guys can really utilize your calculators too, okay? So on the first one, it says expand and evaluate the following. So if I have 3 to the second, that means I have 3 times 3, because I have 3 multiplied twice. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So that is your answer. The next one, I have 1/2 to the 5th. So that means I have 1/2 multiplied 5 times. So I have 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. So you can put it in your calculator. You could do parentheses. So in your calculator, you would look parentheses 1 divided by 2. And then you do the caret, and then you do 5. And it'll give you the same answer. So your answer would be 1 over this one. 1 over 32. 2 would be my answer. Okay, next one, I have 2 to the 5th. So this means I have 2 multiplied 5 times. It's not 2 times 5. It's 2 multiplied by itself 5 times. So you have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and this would give you 32. So I want you to kind of look at number 2 and number 3. We have 1/2 and we have 1/2 to the 5th and 2 to the 5th. So they're just kind of flipped because of that fraction. 1/3 to the 2nd is where you'll do 1/3 times 1/3, not 1/3 times 2, 1/3 times 1/3, and this will give you 1/9, because we do 1 times 1 and 3 times 3. Okay, now let's go down to the bottom. So if you have a coefficient raised to an exponent, and there it is inside parentheses with a negative, this means that this negative stays with the number. So this is representing -3 times -3. Okay, so this would be 9. Now, if it is not inside the parentheses, that negative is not attached to this 3. So this would be negative, and then you'd have 3 times 3. So your answer would be -9. So you have to keep in mind, if it's inside the parentheses, it stays attached if you're multiplying it by itself. If it's not inside the parentheses, that negative is basically on the outside. Okay, same thing with number 7. We have negative, and then we have 2 times 2 times 2. So we're going to get -8. Now, because it's in the next one, we have -2, but it's in parentheses. So we're going to have, I'm not going to have enough room, -2 times -2 times -2. So the -2 stays with it. Now this one you will also get -8, just because anytime you multiply, if they're all negative and you multiply it 3 times, you're still going to get a negative number. So you really have to be careful with this whenever you're looking at a square number on whether that negative is inside the parentheses with that number or not inside the parentheses. Okay, let's go on to the next page. So it says use your calculator to evaluate these. So all I want you to do is I want you to type these into your calculator. And make sure you don't have decimals. So remember, if you don't want a decimal, if you get a decimal, hit math and then press enter twice and it'll give you the fraction form. So 12 to the 3rd. So in your calculator, you can type 12 and then do your caret and then do the 3rd. This will give you 1728. Okay, next one, 1/2. So you're going to, in your calculator, do 1 divided by 2, and then do your caret and 3. It's going to give you 1/8. So make sure you're trying to practice these in your calculator. Now this one, all you have to type in is -5 and then to the 4th power. This will give you -625. The reason we don't have that negative, we can just type it with it because that negative is not inside the parentheses with the 5. Now, and the next one, in your calculator, you'll have to put parentheses, -5, close your parentheses, do your caret, and then put 4. This will give you a positive 625 because that negative is staying with that 5 each time it is multiplied. So keep that in mind, okay? Okay, next one, I have 6 to the -2nd. So you're going to do 6, caret, and then -2. This is going to give you 1/36. 81 to the 1/3. So this is how you're going to type this in your calculator. You're going to do 81, do your caret, then you're going to do 1 divided by 3. And this will give you 9. 5 to the -3rd. So you're going to do 5, caret, -3rd. This will give you 1/125. And we're going to go over these. So I want you to try to utilize your calculator. Now, if you don't have a calculator at home, you can always type these in on Desmos. But make sure whenever you're in class that you at least get some practice. I will be showing it with the calculator on the board. Then the last one, we do 1 divided by 4, close your parentheses, do your caret, and then open another set of parentheses and do 1 divided by 2. And this will give you a positive 2. So you guys will be having to use your calculator on this information, so keep that in mind. Let's kind of look at what it would look like if we were to do it on Desmos. So let's type in that last one we did. We had 1 divided by 4, close your parentheses, and then to the -1 divided by 2. Yeah. So you can type it in Desmos exactly like that, and it'll still give you the same answer. So if we did 5, and then just do your caret, which is if you hit Shift and then the 6 button, -3, that'll give you your answer. Now, if you want a fraction form, you just click this little button over on the side. It'll give it to you in fraction form. Okay, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is how you would use Desmos if you don't have a graphing calculator at home. Let me know if you guys have any questions over the notes, and you guys can get started on your homework for today.